Ampire. Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Hi everyone, hi everyone, hi everyone. Yes, my voice hurts today. They're scoring too much, Callow. My voice hurts today. They're scoring too much.
I was going to say 42 points. You're kind of belting it out there. So, I even thought, I was thinking in the fourth quarter, like you got an easy game here to just ease on into the win. But there was a lot of points being scored in that one.
No, they've decided they want to score on every drive, which is actually, that's fun. New, fun, not used to it yet. I think at one point at the end of the broadcast, I looked at Logan and I go, is this real? Like, what is happening right now? It's like too good, too fast. Like, I don't know what's going on right now.
You're not far off on what I think the fan base is feeling these last 7 days, essentially. People don't know how to act, which is fine. Like, this is a good problem to have, but no one thought this. No one thought it was going to come this way. No one at all whatsoever.
No, I'm repeating myself a million times, but I do a radio show, so that's what happens.
Yes.
And I said from day one, I'm like, this guy doesn't look like a rookie. Like, and I mean, I just at no point in time does he look like a rookie. But this is beyond. I mean, this is not hyperbole. I texted this with Kime this morning because he's like, what a win. And I go, he's the best rookie quarterback ever. Like, he is. Ever.
Yes.
The best rookie quarterback ever for a month. But he is. For a month, he's the best rookie quarterback ever. It will show in the metrics. It'll show in his stats. It'll show in what they're doing. And just watch the games. Like, there are quarterbacks that are good ones that have been around the league for a while that don't look like this now. Like, Baker Mayfield looks terrific now. It took him 5-6 years to get to this point. Like, Sam Darnold's having an incredible start to his career. He was practically a bust and had to move around to different teams to get around to something like this. And they're considered this year really good quarterbacks. And this guy seems ahead of them. And I know it's just a month, but I've never seen anything like it. Like, honestly, this is that's the surprising part of it. Not that he's good. Like, I watched him in college. He won the Heisman Trophy. Like, he kept getting better. Like, the work ethic is obviously there. It was true. It's real. Like, I watched him in practice every day. I knew he was good, but I didn't expect this because nobody does this. No, literally nobody ever does this. For a month, he's the best rookie quarterback ever. It's amazing.
Not only that, I think the difference here too is, when they drafted him, no one wanted to jump too fast because we've all been through RG3 and been traumatized by that. This guy for the last 3 games has had back-breaking plays to finish the games too. The Giants game, not as much. It was that read option that he kept, but it was still a dagger. He ended that game on that run, essentially. They kicked the field goal and they win. The Bengals one, we've replayed a million times by this point. He makes a throw that might be the best throw in this uniform, right? I mean, like, when you look at all of the factors, I don't
kind of up there.
I mean, and it was a regular season game. I'm not trying to say it was as good as one of Doug's throws in the Super Bowls or something, but in terms of difficulty, where it was at, Terry catching it, one of the best throws we've ever seen in the burgundy and gold. And then yesterday, that pass to McCaffrey to finish them off essentially too was another, like, I don't even know what to say anymore because the throws, he's making one of these throws a game now at this point, just a month into his career, where it's like, I cannot believe this guy is reading defenses this fast and putting the ball in places that he's doing. He's passing the eye test, what I'm getting at. It's not a scheme. It's not one read and he runs. He is actually running an offense to a T and making throws that are very difficult to make. And that's the most impressive part to me.
Yeah, I want to give Kingsbury a lot of credit here too. Like, he's just, the timing of the calls, it's week after week after week. The timing of the calls is amazing. We saw this in the preseason. I think I blurted it out and I was like, I don't know if I should say this, but I like the way he calls games in the preseason. I'm like, he gets his quarterbacks comfortable, and I'm like, I know I don't want to make much of that, but he does. Like, you just kind of come out of it and you're like, huh. And it was all of them. I remember it was that first Jets game where they all played. And I was like, wow, like, he really made all of them differently comfortable, like very quickly. Even Driscoll looked great in the preseason, like the times that he played. And I was like, that's Kingsbury a little bit. Like there's something there to that where he's just like, he makes them very comfortable. And with Jayden, it's like they've been working together for years. It's like, I think that's what's so strange about it. Like I look out on the field and I go, half of these guys weren't here last year, have never played on this team before. The whole staff is completely different, and he's a rookie, and they're the best offense in the league. Like what? How would that happen? Like it feels impossible. That's why I'm like, is this real? I don't. This is beyond. I asked John Allen that in the locker room on the postgame show last night because he was all smiles last night, and there was no do-rags last night. He was all smiles. And he goes, I said, is this real? And he goes, just started almost chuckling. And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I'm going to let you guys figure that part out. But he was basically like, but we're pretty happy with what we have in this locker room. McLaurin looks at him like, I have been waiting for this for a long, long time. And it took literally 2 weeks of everybody going, when are you going to get Terry unlocked? Well, here he is finishing off games. The last drive, like what was the Giants game? If they made a mistake, they couldn't overcome it. That's what rookies do. That's a young offense. That's one that like, oh, they have to kick all these field goals. They kept messing up like in the red zone. Then the last 2 weeks, or this past week, when the games basically kind of salted away, they overcame 3 penalties. One of them was a 15-yard penalty. They scored on a 3rd and goal at the 10. Not unlike they scored on a 3rd and 7 at the 27 the week before to put a team away. It's too much. Like too much joy, guys. Too much joy. Don't know what to do with myself. I've been conditioned to be very, very, very skeptical. And like this is ridiculous, the start that it's off to.
No, I think yesterday during the game when I was tweeting about it, I tweeted the GIF from Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell where he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands because like everything they keep throwing at us, they keep overcoming it. On those 2 guys you mentioned too, on Terry's looking at Jayden like the guy in the brand new relationship now. Like the way he looks at him is comical. Like and I don't blame him because this is quarterback 11 or 12 that's been throwing him the football just in 4 or 5 years he's been in the league. On Allen, I just want to get to a bigger point here from the defense. I think that Monday night game galvanized the defense in a way of, you know what, guys? We just need to play our asses off because that guy on offense has our back too. And I
would hope so. Yeah.
But I just think it took a little bit of belief of like, we don't have to play perfect. We just need to get a couple stops, and this offense is going to take care of us. And I think you saw that yesterday. Once they stopped them 2 times in a row, that was the best they played all year long. They all of a sudden started playing way more free. You could tell there was just an ease that they hadn't had those first 3 weeks. And this is why you need a franchise quarterback. Everyone is starting to pull on the same rope.
Yeah. If you told me the first month that like the offense would be, I don't know, best in the league by most metrics, and the defense would be among the bottom 5, that's the other thing I wouldn't have believed. Like I would have flipped this and said, you know what? Like by the end of camp, I'm like, we'll see what the offense is. I assume they'll be up and down, but I do believe this guy's really good, and we'll just see where it goes. And with the defense, though, I go up the middle, they look really strong. So if they can kind of protect themselves on the edges and at the corner position, well, they should be all right. But I didn't expect they couldn't stop anybody for a few weeks and that the offense would have to save the day and score on every drive. And I was sitting there like all last week and I'm watching this tape and I'm like talking to people and everybody's all excited. And I'm like, look, the reality is this is not going to continue if the defense is going to be bottom 3 in the league. It's just not. Like you can't ask this guy to score on every drive. Like think about what happened these last couple of weeks. They scored on every drive that they had against the Giants and won at the buzzer. Like they scored on every drive that they had against the Bengals and held on for dear life to do it. That's not a recipe to continue to win. Like, I don't care how good he is. Like, they're going to lose. And yesterday was by far, bar none, not close, their best defensive performance against maybe arguably the weakest offense they've played. Certainly weaker than Cincinnati's, certainly weaker than Tampa's. And I don't know, I guess, take your pick on the Giants offense or the Cardinals offense, but I got to tell you, without Trey McBride right now, that was a really bad performance by Kyler. Like he was, that was not encouraging performance. He makes really bad decisions. Like really, like he tries to run around. He was fooled. He was running around 4th and 1. He's running around and gets sacked. Like that's a little on him. Like I appreciate what our defense did, but that's a little on him. Like that, it looked bad after that first drive with him, which was a good sign for us. I don't want to take any credit away from us. I thought Dorrance Armstrong had by far, bar none, his best game, by far, not close. I mean, he was up against, this was what happening early in the year when they caught some breaks with injuries. They didn't seem to be able to take advantage of them. The Cardinals were messed up on their offensive line. Kelvin Beachum played, but he had a hamstring injury. They were down to like their 3rd tackle, and they needed him to go. He really couldn't go full speed, and Armstrong took advantage of it. That's what you're supposed to do. Like that's supposed to happen. John and Duran were active, in the middle of that line, and maybe it's the opponent. Maybe it's what you're saying. Like, hey, you guys got to hold up your end of the bargain because we got a shot here now. Like we got a real shot here. Both John and Duran after the game. I told you what John said after to us on the radio broadcast. Duran was in the locker room. I saw a clip from him going, I guess we're on a good team now. And he's like, I didn't know what that was like. I haven't been on one. And, there's kind of nothing like momentum and motivation. You see the other guys doing this. Well, you got to do it too. And it was by far not close the best defensive performance of the year. By far. There's still a lot there. I mean, they couldn't stop the run again, but like after the first drive, they basically shut down the Cardinals passing game. So it was by far not close best defensive performance of the year.
No, on that point too of Kyler, just to go back where you started, Kyler, I thought it was actually weird. He could have ran around a little bit better. Like he, for some reason, was sitting in the pocket a lot of the times. And it's not, I mean, granted, the defensive line was containing to a point, but he, as you like to say, he's a cat. Like he should have been able to sneak through a few times and he didn't. And I think that was the most shocking result of the day, which tells me they were probably just doubling Harrison at that point and saying, we dare you to throw it somewhere else. And he couldn't figure it out. On the defensive line too, I'm with you. Like the fact that they got sacks on him, I was shocked. Like as many times as they got home to him, I was very surprised. And then same thing though, Allen and Payne finally had their moments here. And I think from what both of them are saying in the locker room, I think it just took a little bit of time for them to even have the belief. Because honestly,
they had the belief. They're like the rest of us.
They're like us, yeah.
They're like, we'll see how it goes.
And like it's funny because even you were like, you're saying all during training camp and preseason, oh well, he looks the part. Like we've had this though, where the guy, oh well, he looks pretty good in all these things. And the second the lights turn on, they don't know what to do. Essentially, I think it took a month for them to believe that, oh, this guy's for real. They're now seeing it. They're seeing the momentum. I'm we'll look ahead to it, but like Sunday's game, if that thing's not sold out and people going crazy, I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Now we're really going to start feeling the momentum.
How was honestly it not sold out as of 10 o'clock last night?
I agree.
Like, how long have you all been waiting for this? How long have I been waiting for this? How long have you been waiting for this? That's why it doesn't feel real, because it feels like it's been a really, really, really long time. But it also, I mean, the reality is like they may have had the all-time hit on a draft pick. I mean, like this guy is so far ahead. It's hard to describe. Like I've watched too much through the years. I'm like, I think this is why Logan was maniacally laughing at that touchdown against Cincinnati. He can't believe that. You don't even know what to say. You're like just lost. Like, and every time I'm like watching him do these things, and it's like it's every drive. Like it's every drive. Like Nikki Jabala put out a post this morning, and this is metrics of the offense. Completion percentage, 82.1%, which, oh, by the way, is the best 4-game run by any quarterback ever. Any 4-game period for any quarterback ever, best completion percentage over a month. And these are his first 4 games. Pass yards per attempt, 8.5. That's third. And we supposedly can't stretch the field. Third down percentage, 53%. First, over 50-50 they convert on third down. They haven't been stopped on a fourth down yet. They've gone for it 6 or 7 times. They haven't been stopped yet. Rush yards, 169.3, third in the league. Points, 30.3, now second. Points on a drive, because they score on every drive, 3.56. And in fact, they have scored on more drives than they have incompletions. They've scored on more drives than they have incompletions in a month. The yards is 5th, 382. When was the last time we had an offense that averaged 382 yards a game? What, 1991? When was the last time we had that? Yards of play, 6.1. That's 4th. And keep in mind, they're running the ball 50% of the time. They're getting 6 yards of play, and they're running the ball 50% of the time. 3 and outs, 20%. They had a 3 and out like a couple times. It doesn't happen. They finally had a turnover. They've had 1 in a month. It was like one of the 2 bad throws he had yesterday. And then the advanced metrics, they're like number 1 there. And I said this last week, like on Twitter, I said something to the effect of, I'm like, they could be the highest scoring team in the league right now. And then someone who does like all the math, like retweeted me and he goes, actually, that's true. And he's like, if you go by EPA, they actually are the highest scoring team in the league right now. Don't look at total points. Go by what the points, essentially expected points per play. And they lead that department. And now they're second. And it doesn't look like they're ever going to punt again. It's not like, oh, they made this play and it's like lucky. The reads he's making are absurd. They're positively absurd. And that's why I'm like, I don't know what to say about this because I've never seen a rookie quarterback like this. He's not the rookie of the year. He's the MVP. Like, this is ridiculous what's happening right now.
Remember what I told you on Friday on my show where I laid out, he was plus 10,000 for the odds?
Yeah, he's the MVP right now. It's a month, but he is. He's the MVP right now.
So after the game, too, I went back and checked because I'm like, this had to have changed. He went from plus 10,000 to plus 6,000. Vegas already is hedging themselves of like, oh, crap, we might have let this one slip a little bit. So, your boy's sitting with the plus 10,000 ticket over here. Yeah.
You have plus 10,000?
Plus 10,000. I mean, I didn't bet a ton. I bet a chunk, but like...
Okay.
I laid it out. So I guess I'll just reiterate it here on Friday because when I had you on my show on Friday, I literally said, there's just a pathway here. I'm not saying there's a reason why the odds are like that, but I'm just saying between the way the defense, I didn't think the defense was going to play like this on Sunday, but if the defense isn't as good as we think, he's going to have to keep scoring and his numbers are just going to be too crazy for people to look away. And they are, and the defense is now holding up their end of the bargain. It's ridiculous.
So, okay. So I got to go back to something like, I was, again, as a skeptic, I'm like, this is a joyride. It's euphoric, and it's got to stop at some point. It's the NFL. Like, even Pat Mahomes is throwing a bunch of interceptions this year, and they're barely winning their games. And they scored 17 points. Like, it has to turn at some point. And I'm a realist. It's going to turn, I think. I don't know. Maybe he'll be great forever every week. I don't know. But yesterday was really, really interesting. So I'm watching the Cardinals. And I really, I make fun of the head coach a lot because of the bus thing he did, but I like the way they play defense. I think they're kind of short on some talent, but I like the way they play. Like coming in, they're very fast. Dennis Gardeck's fast. Jayden Collins fast. Budda Baker's fast. Mac Wilson's fast. And they're very creative with how they bring their blitz packages. They're hard, kind of a mix of Tampa and Cincinnati. They're very aggressive. They're ball hawking players. But they're a little light on overall talent, I think. But I just kind of creatively like the way that they play. It became obvious by like the second, third quarter, and I don't know why they didn't switch once it wasn't working. They backed off. They were bringing 3, 4. They were not blitzing like they normally blitz. I don't think I called Gardeck's name once. I don't think I called Collins' name once. Baker early, but was making no key plays at all. They weren't bringing the type of rush that they were going to bring in up front. They don't have like really stud, defensive linemen. So I think is why they do some of this. They didn't. And it just became so obvious they didn't. And the Commanders were rolling them. And I looked at Logan and I go, what are they doing? And he goes, I think they're scared of him. He goes, I think they're scared to bring people because he's going to run. And they're scared of his legs. So they backed off and said, beat us as a passer, and he did over and over and over. So nobody has an answer for him yet. Nobody. And they tried to go, you don't see this coming. We're going to back people off. You think we're bringing the house on you every other play. Well, we're not. We're going to back people off and see if you can figure it out and throw into coverage. And he did. Or he checked into run plays, and Jeremy McNichols has 2 touchdowns. so far, he's the Da Vinci Code. Like you can't figure him out. He figures you out. And he's the one that's played 4 games.
There was a play yesterday. I want to say it was the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter where they did bring the house though. And Schlereth was like, Schlereth was a kid in the candy shop watching this guy yesterday. He like couldn't contain himself of how good he was, which tells me Schlereth still cares about this franchise quite a bit. There was a play where I guess they brought 3 on the left side. It was, like I said, 3rd or 4th quarter. And he just looked right at the cut, like right at the blitz is coming and threw it right to Terry in the face of that blitz. And Schlereth was like, there are pro quarterbacks that don't recognize you just throw where the blitz is coming from. And he already figured it out instantaneously.
Yes.
I think that's why they backed off though. I think they're already seeing like, if we blitz, he's going to start killing us. And so they just decided they're going to try to do what the rest of the NFL is doing. 2 coverage. We're going to dare you to pass it. And if you get bored, then good luck.
Okay, so on Monday night, I went, you're going to find out if he can throw the ball or not, because the Bengals are going to find out if he can throw the ball or not. Like, they're going to force him to do it. They're going to, and he did. And he did. The Cardinals watched this, and they go, all right, let's back off and see if he can figure out like a 3-4 man rush where we drop everybody into coverage and fool him. Well, he figured that out, too. That took a minute. He, like, picks every lock on every safe. He's 4 games in. He's 4 games in. Like, this is ridiculous. Jonathan Gannon is a really, really good creative defensive coordinator. So is the Bengals guy. So is Todd Bowles. Like, they could have 30-plus points in every game that they've played so far. If it wasn't for a couple of missed field goals, they probably would have had it. They easily would have had it against New York. Had they scored a touchdown in that game and not kicked all those field goals, they would have had it. Like, this is off the charts. And you have to get on his Greg Cosell. Like Greg Cosell. This must be I'd like to hear it from his perspective, honestly. And like, because for me, and I'm trying not to get like too homerish, but this is the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen across the board. I've never seen anything like this. Like CJ Stroud was awesome last year. He wasn't this. Like he wasn't this. He was incredible last year. He was not this. This is absurd. I mean, like literally absurd what's going on.
You're gonna file away that nickname, Jayden Daniels, the locksmith. Is that what you're gonna file that away?
He's gonna pick your safe every single week.
That's what I'm saying.
Good luck, boys.
I think
Cleveland.
I think the most dangerous thing about him, though, and I've had a back and forth with tons of people, tons of fans, people that haven't been fans in a while, and I think what everyone is settling in on is this, though. He's got that, and we knew this about him. He's got the athleticism of an RG3 or a Michael Vick, right? Like, I mean, he's got that type of crazy speed that even you and I talked about in the first 2 weeks of the season, where defenders are about to wrap him up, and he just takes off, and you can't catch him, right? But the most dangerous thing is that speed scares them so much. He just sits there sometimes. I think that's the most impressive thing that I see.
He had incredible pockets yesterday because they weren't bringing a lot of pressure. They were trying the opposite side of it. You think we're going to do it. We're not. So let's see how you react to it. 42 points later.
Right. To me,
42 points later. Yeah.
To me, like, it was funny. I think it was David Aldridge, like, tweeted a GIF from like the Matrix, like Neo from the Matrix.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, that's actually like a very good comparison, because he's out there, he rolls out of the pocket and there's no one around him and everyone's too scared to do something because they're like paralyzed by him. And I'm like, that's actually like a good comparison, because that's what I'm getting at here is because the first instinct isn't to take the ball and run. It's I'm going to sit here for a second and I'm going to wait to see what you do. Essentially, he's a cheat code. Like, I mean, there's like, in the realest sense, he's a cheat code right now.
You know, it really, what's crazy is what looks to be abundantly clear is, you know, like, obviously he was incredible in college. He won the Heisman Trophy for good reason. And he was unbelievable in the SEC. And I kept saying, like, over and over, I'm like, the craziest part about him, why I was so bullish about him, like over Drake May, and it wasn't close to me, was he went from Arizona State to LSU and got considerably better.
Yep.
And I went, that's a much higher level of competition. No offense to Arizona State and the former Pac-12, but it is. Like, they play a couple of games against teams that have a lot of pro players and really great coaches, and it's a good league, but it's not the SEC. It's a meat grinder where all those players end up in the NFL, and you're talking about coaching against Saban, and you've got Brian Kelly, and like it's a real deal, like league. Like this is as close. This is minor league football to the NFL. Like it's AAA. Like it's right there. And he got better in all of it. And the part that seems to kind of, it's like hit me yesterday was he's now playing on the level he should have been on the last couple of years, because everyone else around him is capable of doing the things and the adjustments that he's making because they're professionals. But when he was on the collegiate level, there's only a percentage of the players, even as good as a team like LSU would be, or the prospects that they would have, that are going to end up playing on this level. This is where he belongs, actually. He belongs in a place where it's taken seriously. He prepares the way he prepares. He's got this otherworldly athleticism to go along with it, which is what changes all of it. But this is why he's getting better here, is everybody here is at the top level that prepares the way he prepares. And now, like, he's where he belongs. So as good as he was in college, it's set up for him to be better here because he's in an environment with his peers for the first time.
Not only that is he in an environment with his peers. He has coaches that are throwing things at him, both sides of the ball. Like he has an offensive coordinator and he has these defenses throwing things, and he's going, this is all fine. I can handle all of this. And you were even alluding to this the last couple of weeks. How much was Cliff holding back just by saying, like, hey, he's a rookie. I don't want to inundate him with things. But now I feel like even Cliff's got to be like, let's just unlock this whole thing because he can handle it all. Well, that's
what he even said this. He goes, he's executing beyond our expectation. Like, that's quite an admission, but it's true. That's why this is historic. And that's why he's breaking molds here for a month. It can change. But like for a month, nobody's ever seen anything like this. The metrics prove it. How many times I see over the last couple of weeks, since World War II or since 1991 or since this or since that, like he's doing things that we haven't seen anybody in this uniform do in forever. Trustway didn't punt for 2 weeks. It only punted once yesterday. And then I had to get a note about the not punting for 2 weeks. Did you know in at least 80 years, this team had not gone 2 weeks without punting the ball once?
No.
80 years. At least, because the stats don't go back to the 1930s about punting stats. There was no PFF in 1930 looking up Sammy Baugh's numbers. Like every week we're writing down this historic stat, that historic stat, and it's all based around him. Like it really is. It's all comes back to this guy's a supernova. And if Madden doesn't have him to a 99 this week, y'all got it wrong, guys. If that's not a 99, I don't know what a 99 is, guys.
I think, though, just to finish one point on all of those stats, what's crazy is it's like this franchise also isn't the Lions or the Browns or the Cardinals, for that matter. This team won 3 Super Bowls in the 80s. They've had really good teams. He's doing things that are transcending those teams. I think that's actually the more ridiculous part about this. It's not like this franchise was always terrible. They had a dynasty at one point in time, and now he's touching the stats that happened that basically when the franchise became a franchise.
It's unreal. I'm almost at a loss for words. It's just totally unreal. All right, we'll be right back. We'll go through some of the other games from yesterday next. Brad wants to show ESPN 630 the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Let's go through some of the other games. Not that they matter because we just can't be beat. So, what are we, the Chiefs now? Like, why didn't I get the memo yet? Like, what's going on here?
Can I tell you before you even jump into a game? I had this thought yesterday of like, did you know that if Jayden Daniels continues on this path, we're about to be like the anti-Chiefs? Like people hate Mahomes and the Chiefs so much that this team could end up being the one that everyone goes, I just want them to win because I don't want Mahomes to get another one. Like, I'm just saying, we're like about to hit a point here, I think, in the next year or two that could be ridiculous. So
absolutely. Okay, let's see. Falcons beat the Saints 26-24. It involved a muffed punt touchdown and a pick six touchdown that was a deflected ball up in the air. So I don't know. That seems about right on brand for what the Saints have been over the last few years, where they're probably better than the scores or record indicates. And they came out ball of fire. Now they're 2-2 and blew 2 games. So sounds about right that's the Saints these days. Must be frustrating because they easily could be 4-0. Easily.
I told you to when the season started, I liked what the Falcons did on defense after the draft, getting Judon, making a couple signings. Judon caused one of those touchdowns to happen. I like where the Falcons are. This is what good teams do, though. They pull out close wins against their division rivals. I told you this too. I didn't believe in I didn't believe in the Saints going into this game. I'm not surprised.
Let's see. Bears beat the Rams 24-19. The Rams are really beat up, and I buy the Bears defense. It's very good. It's kept them in games. They're 2-2 because of it, because their rookie quarterback isn't historic. He might end up being very, very good, but right now it's not trending that way, and they're winning despite, the limitations on that side of the ball. I don't know when they can start flexing games, but like I have the assumption that that's going to start happening to us this year. Like expect Sunday night games to get flexed in this year. And the Bears one, if they can do it that early, I could see as a showcase game because of the way Jayden's going that they do that in a few weeks when they play them here. Like I don't remember if they changed the rule. They could start doing it earlier. It used to be you had to wait till like week 12 or something to do it. I thought they changed that rule, but I could see where Washington is going to have some night games later this year because they're going to get flexed into them. And that would be circled on the calendar for me immediately because now it's worthwhile to have the showcase game between the top two picks.
Two-parter here. I watched a lot of this game. Caleb looked better. He looked improved. So I'll say that. On the flex thing, though, I don't think this is going to be the one you circle to flex. I think it's the Ravens game you need to worry about being flexed. Lamar v. him.
Weeks. Yeah.
Lamar v. him.
Just on Sunday night last night, right? I know.
He's league MVP. He's going to go up against him. That's going to get numbers.
And Jayden talks about him like he loves him.
Yep.
Like,
right.
He talks about him like he's one of the people he's watched and wants to be.
Yeah. So that's the one I would circle.
Okay. So we'll see. Let's see. The Vikings are 4-0. Jordan Love came back. They were blowing the Packers out. Give the Packers credit. They came back, but fell short. Lost 31-29. Score might not be as close as it probably looks. Justin Jefferson is just lighting it up with Sam Darnold. This is the biggest surprise in the league. That they're a legit 4-0, not just they're 4-0, they're a legit 4-0. They won at Lambeau, they beat Houston, they beat San Francisco. That's a legit 4-0. So they're the shock of Washington. Everyone else might be saying Washington. I'd say Minnesota. This is a way ahead of schedule than I thought that they would be.
No, I told you this on Friday. I didn't care who started for quarterback for the Packers. I like the Vikings defense so much more than I like the offense. It helps that Darnold and Jefferson have a really good connection. Flores' defense is what's the difference maker here. And yeah, the Packers mounted a semi comeback, but that game was 28-7, I think, in the third quarter. The Vikings are for real. It's their defense too that actually, like I said, is going to carry them. Because I don't think Darnold has to have an expiration date at this point. Like he's going to have a bad game or two, but he's at least turned into a solid quarterback for them.
Like if the Commanders played the Vikings in the playoffs, I would headline it as the guy who doesn't see ghosts anymore versus the guy who never saw them in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Let's see. Colts beat the Steelers. I'm not surprised. First of all, it's road game. Pittsburgh, great start. Every game's going to be close. They're all nail biters, which means you're going to lose some of them. And this is the NFL. Games are hard to win. And listen, Fields had 312 again. All I saw yesterday was the pregame of the debate of because Justin Fields is still for some reason listed as the number 2 quarterback, probably not to hurt Russ's feelings. And why is he listed number 2? And are you bothered that you're listed as number 2? All of that, nonsensical crap that probably is surrounded around the ego of the guy who, if you listed him at number 2, would get upset about it. Even though Tomlin's just going to play whoever he wants. He's like, you want to see your name on paper? It says number 1. Go ahead, guy. I don't think they're changing personally, but we'll see. But I still feel like there's been a pathway to them consistently running 2 quarterback packages. Like I wouldn't leave Russ on the bench all year. Like I would utilize him and figure out a way to work it out because I watched some of that yesterday while we were getting set for our game, and their offense is okay. And Fields still is apt to make mistakes. He's way, way, way better. And I felt this way. I said this for a long time. I'm like, if this guy gets good coaching, he'll be really, I think he's going to be good. He's a high level athlete. But it's not there. And them losing on the road is not a surprise to me at all.
This one, to me, you're right. Like, the Steelers are going to live and die by having these one-score games. The most shocking thing about this one, for the second year in a row, Joe Flacco is going to screw up a quarterback room. Richardson, by the way, I watched the beginning of this one. He is dumb with the ball.
He's wildly inaccurate. He makes bad decisions. Now he has these jackpot plays that can occur because he's an unreal athlete with an unreal arm. But then he makes mistakes that are outrageous.
But I'm saying when he was running with the ball yesterday, he took a huge hit from the Steelers defense. You know you're going to take a hit from that defense. And then he took another one that knocked him out of the game. And now he has a hip injury. And so then they put Flacco in the game. And Flacco's running the offense. And all I'm thinking is, one, how is Flacco not like one of the most in-demand backup quarterbacks at this point? He just keeps demonstrating that he can run an offense. And two, Richardson is reckless, man. He reminds me of RG3. Like, he was taking some dumb hits. And so if I'm a Colts fan, I'm pretty worried about the future. I think you take it with Flacco for now because Flacco can get you to the playoffs like he did with Cleveland last year.
Right.
But with Richardson, I would already be like, I don't know if we got one in that guy because he's making some dumb decisions both in the air and on the ground.
And this is predictable. The good teams that could implode both wear green. The Jets lose at home to the Broncos and don't score a touchdown. The Broncos, I want to be fair about this, won in Tampa and gave up 7 points, and won in New York and gave up 9. So old Shawnee P's known for the offense, but that's not a fluke. So tip of the cap to you guys defensively for doing that, because you guys could be 0-4, easily be 0-4 with that schedule, but you're not. You won convincingly, then you go up there. But the Jets are the Jets. And this is sign one. I mean, I've heard a few things like Saleh said something and Rodgers took a swipe at him. And then he said something about Breece Hall needs to stop complaining so much in the huddle. And it's juicing itself up to where I think we all know where this is going. And they're catching breaks because New England's bad and Miami suffered injuries that's going to derail them. So it's a 2-team race for that division, and I don't trust them. I don't trust them. And this, I mean, you lose at home 10-9 to anybody when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. That's on you. It really is.
The Breece Hall thing was a joke. Breece Hall asked him it. That was Breece Hall asking Rodgers what needs to change or something like that, in a media scrum this week. And that's where he said Breece Hall needs to stop complaining. It was because it was Breece Hall. So I'll put context on that one. But on the one you mentioned, Saleh said in post game something along the lines of maybe we need to scale the offense back. And that's when Rodgers said, or you could just hold guys accountable. And I was like, oh, that's a little spicy for a post-game exchange.
I told you. I called it in Hard Knocks last year. I went, I don't know if this guy's a good coach. You know I can read people. I took one look. I watched that show and I went, I don't know, man. And then Rodgers gets hurt. And what happens? They go sideways.
Yeah.
That tells you what you need to know about the coach. When something goes wrong, can you keep it together? He couldn't keep it together. So he's already hearing it. And it's not going to get if they don't start winning fast. And they haven't looked good yet. Because they beat Tennessee and New England, neither of which are going to be in the playoffs. So we don't see them beat anybody good yet. We don't know. Let's see. Buccaneers routed the Eagles. Eagles are missing both of their best receivers. So that's going to limit them. So I'll give them a pass on that part of it. But Philly, they are darn close to 1-3 / 0-4. They're very close to it. Without Saquon Barkley, I think they would be 1-3 or 0-4 right now. He has saved them. But this is the path I've said all along is Dallas needs to go sideways. I just kind of assumed that Philly's roster was a little too good, and maybe I'm assuming wrong. So we'll see.
I mean, they were banged up, and here's the thing too. Tampa it was kind of like a bad mix for us. I thought last week with the Bengals, right? Tampa got surprised by the Broncos. That wasn't going to happen with the Eagles this week at home with them. So you knew that they were going to come out strong against them, and it wasn't a good matchup where their offense is rolling and the Philly offense couldn't kind of punch back. but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I mean, it was really bad. I think they had like 0 yards 1.5 quarters into the game. Like, I mean, it was pretty bad for them. Your boy Sirianni, it's got to be getting a little warm up there. It's got to be.
Oh yeah. Real quick, let's see. Bengals beat the Panthers. That's chalk. That's not a surprise. Houston beat Jacksonville in what ended up being a very close game, but I'm not surprised that they won, and Jacksonville sliding the wrong way. Dougie P got asked about his job security, which I thought was unbelievable. They went that early at him. Niners beat the Patriots, even with all the injuries. I'm obviously not surprised. Raiders, Browns. I'm forced to watch this later this week to get ready to play the Browns, but that's bad juju going on, but I didn't see any of it, so I don't really know. But am I surprised that they lost? Not really, not the way that they've started.
But no Devontae Adams, no Max Crosby. They didn't have their best player on both sides of the ball. How do you lose that game? Like,
yeah, and then like there's these rumors that Deshaun has burners and he's blaming the coaches now on Twitter and all that stuff, that is so 2017. Like, come on, man. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. I'll do the other 2 games after the break. Very much a show ESPN 630 Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Ram Whiteside Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Last 2 games of the day featured the Chiefs winning another close game, having to come back from down 10-0. They're not prolifically scoring, but they're winning. They did lose Rashee Rice, so that's going to be that. I don't think that that's an easy one to just wipe away and replace. So we'll see how their offense goes from here, and it's not really functioning in the way that we're accustomed to. They typically get better, and it's hard not to buy Mahomes, and they are 4-0, but they've gotten by every single week, and that's a little unusual because typically at some point along the way, they course correct and blow somebody out. And considering, listen, I trust Harbaugh and I trust the Chargers. I don't love their team, and I thought this might be the one, and it wasn't. So they're winning. I guess that's the easiest way. Like, there's no complaining about winning. They're winning, but they're not doing it the Chief way. That's for sure.
What's funny is I think I've even said this, though, about the Chiefs. They're like the Patriots. Sometimes they have these slow starts, and then it starts first take of what's wrong with the Chiefs or whatever. They're actually going through that, but still winning the games is what's happening here. So being 4-0, I'm not surprised that they are. And the fact that they don't look like they're clicking on all cylinders is in line of what I thought they would look like on this one. They're not even using Kelsey right now. Watch, they're going to start unlocking it a little bit more as they practice a little bit more. They're going to be fine. I'm with you. They're like 5 plays away from being 0-4. Yeah. But, I mean, they're just one of those teams. They're going to be able to show up and beat certain teams on Sundays, and I'm not surprised.
So the way things are going right now, it's hard, even after the 0-2 start, not to pick Baltimore to end up potentially winning the AFC. I mean, after what they did in Dallas, I know the game got close, but they were rolling them. They blew out Buffalo last night. The way the Jets are going, Buffalo looks like they're going to walk their way into a division title. And, well, you just saw what happened last night. They could have beat the Chiefs in week 1. Chiefs aren't functioning. I mean, we're a long way away from all of this. But tell me somebody who, when they're at their best, looks better than them in the AFC. And I'll wait for your answer. I'll hang up and listen to your answer on that.
No, not right now. There's no one better than them, especially with what they did last night. I mean, and they need home field advantage, though. It's clearly, because clearly they're a different team at home than they are.
It worked for them last year. So,
well, I mean, but remember, too, that game was more them shooting themselves in the foot, too. Like, it wasn't like the Chiefs went in there and beat them, right? So I'm just saying it was more their self-inflicted wounds.
2 things as we go today. One, I'm going to ask the Archman after school today, would he like to go see his first ever playoff game?
Oh, okay. All right.
I think I'm gonna go up to see O's Royals, Han. And CJ and I were talking about it. He goes, what do you think's happening at Pickles at 6 a.m. tomorrow? Oh. And I'm like, it's on, baby. It is on. So I think I'm gonna grab because I think it's like a 4:30 start, something like that.
Okay. So keep me in the loop here because I kind of want to go. So just keep me in the loop. Tomorrow is 4:00. So that means 3:30 pregame on our airwaves. And then Tuesday is 4:30, 4:00 on our airwaves. And then I think it's 4:30 if it needs to play on Wednesday. So those are situations where I can get there.
Wait, Wednesday's is a if necessary. Is that right?
Yeah, because best out of 3 in the wild card round now. So it's best out of 3.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. 'Cause Tuesday's a tough one. Wednesday's the one I want to take them. So I think so that's
so
what I'm going to do.
Sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Wednesday's a game. Yeah. Wednesday's on. Wednesday's the one I want. And you said Wednesday's the 4:30 one, right?
Yes.
Because that one I don't have to take him out of school too early to get him to do it. So I think that mark me down Wednesday. Right. I'm going to probably buy tickets unless you know somebody and go up to Camden Yards, take Archman to his first ever playoff game. So I'm psyched to do that. And then lastly, I'll just spend like 30 seconds on this. You hit me on this on Friday. I've avoided it all week. My relative popularity of doing play calls of a team that everybody likes all of a sudden, which in the end, I know is about in the end, like I appreciate all the attention. I really do, but I know it's about them and it's not about me. But I do want to say that I've noticed how many people said nice things about the calls over the last couple of weeks. I know where they've been aired. I am really flattered that it was pinned at the top of NFL Films Twitter account. You know, I love the job that I have. I want to be exceptional at it. I appreciate it's validation to me that I'm doing a good job, and I appreciate that. But as you know, and I've said this a million times, I never want this to be about me. I like when it's about the team, but it didn't go unnoticed. I have enjoyed the popularity, and I appreciate all, and I mean thousands of nice things that have been said to me over the last week, but it is about them. But thank you. So I'll just do this once. Be nice to me about me doing my job. I appreciate it.
I told you when you were on my show on Friday, I clicked through the comments, and there are a lot more comments these days, and they're all very, very positive. So yes, you should
people
take some pride in that.
Like, how can I listen to it? Because it's not about me. It's the team. Like and
sure.
Listen, I want to take that ride too, and it's been a blast. So hopefully it'll continue. You know, and if he's the greatest quarterback ever, we might do this for 10 years. It'll be fun. Being just really great.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bram and Callow, Sports Capital.